This weekend, JD Vance went on ABC News This Week with George Stephanopoulos. That's the name of the show. ABC News This Week with George Stephanopoulos. And when he went on there, like the brave man that he is, you already know that the Democrat propagandist George Stephanopoulos was going to try to trap him up. The only thing that he didn't expect, that JD came back with the heat. Not only did he come back with the heat, he forced George Stephanopoulos to submit midway through the interview. Now, I'm going to let you see that, but prior to it, I want you to check out this story, which really set it all off. As you can see, it says JD Vance. He says Pritzker should pay for Chicago's failures. Now, during the interview, JD Vance let it be known what he feels that Mayor Brandon Johnson there in Chicago and JB Pritzker are doing, and how it's teetering on the line of, is it criminal? Is it not criminal? We know that it's not ethical and it's not morally right what they're doing to the people, the voters, the Americans. They're in their state, especially because of illegal immigrants and their unwillingness to just admit that they were flat out wrong. So I'll get back to this article. And as you see, the mayor, former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, had a lot to say. But let's get off here into this very first clip. Now, this is where it sets it off. Stephanopoulos is going to ask him flat out about whether he thinks Pritzker should be in jail. Now, I'm going to show you something about George Stephanopoulos that you may or you may not have known, because this is really how he got his claim to fame. And the fact that he sits up there and acts like he's just this nonpartisan person is a joke. And remember now, this is the same person that ABC News was forced to pay $15 million to President Trump because George Stephanopoulos decided that he was going to go on there and call President Trump a grapist. And you know how YouTube is. So when he called him a grapist, even though he's never been charged with that, he was never convicted of that, that is defamation. And President Trump was able to prove that in court, forced his company to pay $15 million. And it almost cost Stephanopoulos his job. But I'll digress from that. Check out this clip here where he starts off asking the vice president about what he thinks about JB Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. And, you know, one thing about JD Vance, he did not mince his words at all. He didn't hold back in this interview. Check this out.
If you agree with President Trump that Governor Pritzker has committed a crime.
Well, I think that Governor Pritzker has allowed a lot of people to be killed in the city of Chicago and elsewhere, George. I think that it's disgraceful, and I think that he absolutely should suffer some consequences for the fact that there are thousands of innocent Chicagoans who are dead because he failed to do his job.
It's really a yes or no question. Do you believe he's committed a crime?
George, you're going to keep on asking this question. I'm going to keep on telling you that Governor Pritzker has failed to do his job. He should suffer some consequences. Whether he's violated a crime, ultimately, I would leave to the courts. But I certainly think that he has violated his fundamental oath of office. That seems pretty criminal to me. I'd leave it to a judge and jury to decide whether he's actually violated the crime.
If you agree with President Trump.
As you heard, you know, did they commit a crime? We're teetering there. What do you think? And leave it in the comments. Do you feel when a governor decides that they're not going to work with federal law enforcement and allow them to be boxed in, to be attacked, and to stand down, and to force the employees of the state to stand down? Do you believe that's committing a crime? What about the mayor creating zones where the federal government are not allowed to set up? The federal government are not even allowed to use the restrooms. There are certain places that have not allowed ICE agents or guard members to use the restroom. Do you believe when a mayor is putting their constituents' lives at risk for the sake of illegal immigrants or some deep state, left-wing, radical, globalist dream, do you believe that that's committing a crime? We definitely know it's unethical. So that was just one. Now check out this next clip where JD Vance is not only going to put it to him, but he's going to school him. And I want you to look at what happens at the end of this clip that has got the internet going crazy. And after this clip, I'm going to show you the bombshell information about who George Stephanopoulos really is. Now, this clip is a few minutes, but I need you to watch it in its entirety and tell me what you think about this.
The White House border czar Tom Homan was recorded on an FBI surveillance tape in September 2024, accepting $50,000 in cash. Did he keep that money or give it back?
George, you've covered the story ad nauseum. Tom Homan did not take a bribe. It's a ridiculous smear. And the reason you guys are going after Tom Homan so aggressively is because he's doing the job of enforcing the law. I think it's really preposterous. I know Tom. I think that he's a good man. He gets death threats. He gets attacked. He gets constantly threatened by people because he has the audacity to want to enforce the country's immigration laws. I think that it would be a much more interesting story about why is it that Tom Homan, who is simply enforcing Americans' immigration laws, is getting constantly harassed and threatened to the point of death threats. That's a much more interesting question that I think journalists should focus on. We can agree to disagree on that question.
Well, wait, you said he didn't take a bribe, but I'm not sure you answered the question. Are you saying that he did not accept the $50,000?
George, this story has been covered ad nauseum. He did not take a bribe. Did he accept $50,000? I'm sure that in the course of Tom Homan's life, he has been paid more than $50,000 for services. The question is, did he do something illegal? And there's absolutely no evidence that Tom Homan has ever taken a bribe.
I'm asking you,
which is why he's working in the administration.
I'm asking you, did he accept the $50,000 that was caught on the surveillance? Did he accept that $50,000 or not?
Now, real quick, I'm going to pause it just for a second to explain. You may or may not know what's going on. Allegedly, in 2024, the left, the Democrats are saying that Tom Homan accepted $50,000 from these lobbyists in exchange for government contracts. Here's the kicker. Let's just say he did take the $50,000. At the time, Tom Homan was not a part of the administration. He was a civilian, which means that as a civilian, if he took money from somebody, there's no crime there. The only way they can attach a crime is if Tom Homan, as an official, took the money. If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or for a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it helps get the video out. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And whether you're already subscribed or just subscribing now, make sure that you hit notifications and then you select all, because YouTube has issues getting notifications out. But when you select all, YouTube will make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos. And they can connect it to official acts done on behalf of the money. This is why the Biden DOJ and was trying to investigate Tom Homan. They even attempted to allegedly set him up. These were undercover FBI agents attempting to bribe Tom Homan. But here's the kicker. Tom Homan never took, President Trump wasn't elected. He wasn't a part of the administration, which is why the Biden DOJ could not prosecute Tom Homan. It's perfectly fine if Tom Homan did meet with some man. They say, hey, we want to give you 50 grand, man. You hook us up later. And he says, okay, I don't even have an official position at all, but thank you. But Tom Homan takes a position and does absolutely nothing that benefits anybody. That is not a crime. And even him taking the money is alleged. And we all know if the Biden DOJ had evidence that they could have brought down on Tom Homan, which would have totally obliterated this whole deportation mission, they would have done it. If they had all of this bombshell evidence, it would have been done. There wasn't, and they know it. But the left, like George Stephanopoulos, are throwing this stuff out there into the public, A, as if it's true, and B, they're hoping that people see it and decide, you know what? Democrats, you're right. Tom Homan, you're bad. You need to be thrown out of your position, which they know would be a major blow to the deportation of these millions of illegal immigrants out of this country. They know that. So what they're trying to do is muddy him up in the eyes of public perception, not in reality, public perception. Just in case you weren't aware of that, I wanted to make sure you know what was going on.
George, I don't know what you're talking about. Did he accept $50,000 for what?
He was recorded on an audio tape in September 2024, an FBI surveillance tape, accepting $50,000 in cash. Did he keep that money?
Accepting $50,000 for doing what, George? I'm not even sure I understand the question. Is it a crime? Even the far left media like yourself. So I'm actually not sure what the precise question is. Did he accept $50,000? Honestly, George, I don't know the answer to that question. What I do know is that he didn't violate a crime.
So you don't, what was caught on the tape, you're saying right now you don't know whether or not he kept that money?
I don't know what tape you're referring to, George. I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George,
Governor
I
JD
said that I
Vance is
don't.
up next. We'll be right back.
Now, as you can see, George Stephanopoulos literally just cut off the vice president of the United States and ended the interview. That wasn't supposed to be the end of the interview. But when JD Vance threw it back at him, hey, listen, man, this is why fewer people are even watching your show. We've been here for 5 minutes, and you're talking to me about a BS story that was investigated under the Biden administration in which nothing was done. And you're asking me, did he keep it? You're not talking to me about the economy. You're not talking to me about the peace deal in Gaza. You're speaking to me about some BS propaganda because that's who you are. And when he threw it out there and said some radical left-wing rabbit hole, oh my God, as you saw, George Stephanopoulos even defended that. This is not a left-wing rabbit hole, blah, 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 and does what these Democrat talking heads do, get their last word out and then cut it. Now, this isn't the first time that Stephanopoulos was disrespectful to the vice president. Now, this is back in 2024, before JD Vance was the VP, okay? This when they were just running their campaign. This was a debate about the Supreme Court. Check out what Stephanopoulos did to JD Vance then. I want to give a big shout out to the sponsor of this video, Chapter. And here's why. When my mom hit 65 years old, I watched her get bombarded with mailers, cold calls, and all these confusing ads about Medicare. And every single company pretended like they wanted to help her, but really they were just trying to sell her stuff. It seemed like the game was rigged and she was not supposed to win at all. And that's why I'm so excited to share information about Chapter with all of you. Now, who Chapter is? Chapter is a free Medicare advisory service that compares Medicare plans available, and they give you real, unbiased guidance. Chapter is completely independent and always puts customers first. Their whole focus is all about making sure that their customers, the seniors, get the right Medicare plan. And it's clear that they're making a real difference in the lives of seniors. So if you want real, unbiased help with Medicare, give Chapter a call at 402-527-1253. You'll talk to a real person who will help you figure out exactly which plan is right for you and has saved the average senior $1,000 a year. So I'm going to put the number here on the screen for you to be able to contact, or if you visit the website, go to askchapter.org/realpolitics.
Abide by legitimate Supreme Court rulings, doesn't it?
The Constitution says that the Supreme Court can make rulings, but if the Supreme Court, and look, I hope that they would not do this, but if the Supreme Court said the President of the United States can't fire a general, that would be an illegitimate ruling, and the President has to have Article 2 prerogative under the Constitution to actually run the military as he sees fit. This is just basic constitutional legitimacy. You're talking about a hypothetical where the Supreme Court tries to run the military. I don't think that's going to happen, George, but of course, if it did, the President would have to respond to it. There are multiple examples throughout American history of the President doing just that.
You didn't say military in your answer, and you've made it very clear. You believe the president can defy the Supreme Court. Senator, thanks for your time this morning.
No, George.
Roundtable's up next. We'll be right back.
Cut his mic again. Now, after he just clearly made his point, he just took everything that JD Vance said and said, well, it's clear that you defend the fact that you could divide the Supreme Court. We're going, and you hear JD Vance say, hey, wait. They cut his mic and moved on. Now, he tries to act like he's some fair and balanced person, but let's listen to Stephanopoulos as he exposes what President Trump, what you and I have known this entire time. Listen to this clip of him on the Cackling Hands show, The View, and listen to one of the words he uses and tell me if this sounds familiar and how the Democrats have tried to downplay something that he's going to admit openly. Check this out.
That was my favorite part about doing the book. I interviewed about 100 duty officers from the White House. And these are people that come, they're relatively young, people who come from all over the government, the CIA, the DIA, Defense Department, military. And, you know, some people like to call those people the deep state.
Deep state.
Well, the big thing I learned doing this book is that the deep state is packed with patriots. People who go to work every single day on the front lines of the most intense crises the country faces and do it to serve their country and to serve the presidency, not the president. They don't care about political parties. They're there to serve the presidency and the institution.
And they're doing it anonymously.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
As one of them told me, Mike Seeley said, you know, we serve in silence.
Yeah.
So as you just heard Stephanopoulos say, the deep state, this is real. Now, the Supreme Court, though, just totally destroyed this whole thing. Now, understand something. There was something like, I want to say 100,000 employees that are within the federal government that are unelected bureaucrats. And these people have extreme power because they're not accountable to the president and they're not accountable to Congress. And it's been like this since 1934. So since 1934, like 90 years, these folks have been able to maneuver and control what goes on in our country, and they'll just wait presidents out They wait Congress out. They can't be fired. They can't be held accountable by anybody. But the thing is, they are loaded with left-wing Democrats that have been controlling what you just heard Slappadopoulos refer to as the deep state. Is real. But the Supreme Court just this past week, because this whole situation they had where Trump fired several people, one being Lisa Cook, who was with the Federal Reserve, and people were going crazy. Oh, you can't do that. You can't fire these folks. Well, they sued, and Trump appealed, and they took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court came down and said, boom, the president has executive powers, where now that deep state has to be accountable to the president, to the commander-in-chief, and can be removed from their positions. This freaks the Democrats out because for 90 years, they've had a stranglehold on this country and nobody knew. There really was a shadow government. We call it the deep state. Now, something else about Slappadopoulos you may or may not have known. Check this clip out, because this is how Slappadopoulos got his rise to fame. And there's going to be another face that you're going to recognize on here.
Now, D.A. Pennybaker and Chris Hedges bring us the making of the first president from the rock and roll generation.
Somebody who's been through a lot of tough elections, James Carville, is known as the Raging Cajun in the business.
So let me tell you what's at stake in this election. Just about George Bush and the whole sleazy little cabal of them. You're going to get tax breaks for the wealthy. You're going to get a guy that doesn't know what a grocery store scanner is. I'm getting sick and tired. I am every single night hearing one of these carping little liberal Democrats jumping all over my you know what.
I'm George Stephanopoulos. I'm Director of Communications. Bush was on the defensive. Another good night for Bill Clinton. 3 debates, 3 wins. I guarantee you that if you do this, you'll never work in Democratic politics again.
If we cannot believe anything he has said about his past, how can we believe
politics again? If you do this, you'll never work in Democratic politics again.
Now, as you just saw, this is from the documentary, The War Room. If you've never seen it, check it out, because it goes deep inside of the Clinton-Gore campaign and goes behind the scenes. That lady right there you see on the screen, that's Mary Madeline. And guess who she is? She is the chief campaign manager for George Bush. Guess what else she is? She's the wife of James Carville, who was running Bill Clinton's campaign. So understand something. The husband is running one presidential campaign. The wife is running the other one. They're still married to this day. And people say, well, how did y'all last 40 years, 50 years, however long it's been? They said that they don't discuss politics. Now, you tell me that doesn't seem a little bit weird? He's the campaign manager for Clinton. She's the campaign manager for George Bush, but yet they're married. And that was and this was years ago, but you saw George Slappadopoulos in there. He was also one of the campaign managers for Bill Clinton, which is why to this day, he's still a propaganda shield for the Democrat Party. Always have been, always will be, allegedly, right? Now, let's check out my guy, Greg, as he has something to say about what Slappadopoulos did to the VP.
The media always circled their wagons around Democrats. But Republicans never get that. So they circle their wagons around Biden when he was in a coma. They're doing it with everybody else. So it's exhausted all their credibility. And that's kind of why, like, when you see Vance do that, he's kind of doing it not just for Vance. He's doing it for all of us in a way. It's like you, Harold, and I, and everybody here knows what it's like to be the target of the media and how unfair it can be. Many Americans didn't know that until they voted for Trump, until like tens of millions of Trump supporters were smeared every day. By in their local news and their national news, they knew what it's like to be framed unfairly and dishonestly. So now there's no reason. I know you probably disagree. There's no reason to show any respect to Stephanopoulos because he didn't show us any respect. And I think that's why it doesn't really matter. It's like we kind of enjoy watching Vance beat up on him, even though it's child abuse.
He called it child abuse, but that's exactly what's going on. So right here, though, in the Newsmax article. Let's check out some of this from our good mayor.
Fine. After all, the police in Chicago really haven't been under the direction of the mayor for about 6 or 7 years. I mean, the mayor has gone his own way. Every weekend in Chicago, it's a question of how many people are going to get slaughtered. And nobody does anything about it. The least you'll see is 4, the most 20 police deployment, almost non-existent because they are without any kind of esprit de corps. They get no backing anywhere. And the reality is this is 65 years of crooked Democratic rule. Chicago is legendarily probably the most crooked city in the history of America. you got a mayor who literally should be in jail right now for taking away protection from the federal offices. He was supposed to provide it. He didn't. They've been doing that for a long, long time, putting federal agents in harm's way.
So as you see right there, what's going on is that nobody is aligning with this crap, and the propaganda that they're trying to push isn't being sold. People are literally looking at Chicago, and Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, his approval rating is horrible. Pritzker is falling into the tank. But check this out. Vice President JD Vance says Sunday that Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, a Democrat, should suffer some consequences for what he called the governor's failure to control violent crime in Chicago. Vance laid the responsibility squarely on Pritzker. President Donald Trump has called for Pritzker to face legal action, the Hill reported. Vance defended Trump's remarks, suggesting Pritzker should be jailed, saying the governor has failed to keep the people of Illinois safe amid persistent violence in Chicago. In an appearance on ABC News this week, Vance was pressed repeatedly by host George Stephanopoulos about whether Pritzker had committed a crime. Trump had accused the governor of obstructing federal immigration enforcement and failing to protect residents from crime. I think Governor Pritzker has certainly failed to keep the people of Illinois safe, Vance said, citing Chicago's high murder rate. Why is he so mad at Donald Trump for trying to keep Chicagoans safe? He should be mad at the criminals that he has failed to keep at bay. We're trying to help him, and we're trying to help the residents of his biggest city, Vance said. I wish that he would just let us, because he certainly isn't doing the job himself. When asked directly if he agreed with Trump that Pritzker had committed a crime, Vance sidestepped but said the governor should face accountability. Well, I think that Governor Pritzker has allowed a lot of people to be unalived in the city of Chicago and elsewhere, George. I think that is disgraceful. And I think that he absolutely should suffer some consequences for the fact that there are thousands of innocent Chicagoans who are dead because he failed to do his job, he said. Pressed again, Vance added that Pritzker violated his fundamental oath of office and that it's up to the court to decide whether the governor committed a crime. George, you're going to keep on asking this question. I'm going to keep telling you that Governor Pritzker has failed to do his job. He should suffer some consequences, Vance said. Whether he's violated a crime, ultimately, I would have to leave that to the courts. But I certainly think that he has violated his fundamental oath of office. That seems pretty criminal to me. Appearing later on the same program, Pritzker fired back, accusing Vance and the Trump administration of spreading a tidal wave of lies. Well, you just heard a tidal wave of lies from the vice president of the United States, Pritzker said. It's a bit shocking, and you heard over and over again him just making things up on national television with you. Pritzker said the administration is targeting political opponents and acting without integrity. They're making things up to go after people, he said. And the fact that he's made a threat against me, I'm not afraid. I'm going to stand up for the people of my state. The governor called on Democrats and Republicans alike to speak out against what he described as unconstitutional actions from Washington. So there you have it. You got BS coming out of J.B. Pritzker, who knows everything that J.D. Vance said was absolutely right. They are failing to keep Chicagoans safe. And here's the real deal. Don't be fooled by these left-wing outlets, the mainstream media, and some of these bloggers who go find the most ghetto people they can find, put a camera in their face, and they say, yeah, man, we don't want the National Guard here. We don't want them. It's racist. That is probably the local drug dealer in that area who is going to get on camera and say, yeah, we don't want them here. This is our city. That while they're staying in a project maybe that they don't own, which is government owned, or they're standing on a street that they probably don't even live on. But they're talking, yeah, I don't want them here. We don't want them here. We just got it. While 2 or 3 people just got capped right around the corner. But when you talk to real citizens, not the propaganda, most ghetto white and black people that they can find, leftists they can find. When you talk to real Chicagoans, they want the National Guard. Just like in Memphis, right now, you go online and look at how many black, white, brown people are so happy at what they see in Memphis. And Memphis was like one of the top murder capital cities too. But since the Guard has been there, crime has went away. People are walking with their children to the park, to the stores, and saying that they have never been able to do that in the years that they lived in these neighborhoods. So the fact that now there's a national spotlight shining on Illinois, shining on Chicago, that these people can't hide the truth. But the fact that J.B. Pritzker and the ignorant mayor, Brandon Johnson, will get on camera and take all the destruction happening in a city and say, oh, it's Trump. And, because back in slavery, the man always, Brandon Johnson and all of these left wing, I'm talking about even white ones, they trip me out interjecting civil rights and race into every single issue when they're failing. When they get exposed, they race bait. When they get busted, they race bait. It's just like saying, oh, you're attacking your political opponents. Well, it just so happens to be that all of those political opponents created crime and was a part of a conspiracy to bring down Donald Trump and his family. So the fact that's like somebody breaking in your house, you watching this person break in your neighbor's house, and then by a stroke of just persistence, you decide to become a police officer. So now that you're a police officer, you go and you arrest the person that broke in your house and broke in your neighbor's house. And people say, oh, you know what, man? He's just getting his get back because that person broke in his house. Okay, that may be true, but it still doesn't hide the fact that this person broke in my house. So just because I'm getting my get back doesn't eliminate or remove the fact of what they did. And so the Democrats did all of this mudslinging and all of trying to destroy lives. And now that they're being held accountable, they call that retribution. Well, yeah, it is. But at the same time, you actually committed a crime. Like Letitia James, she actually signed those documents. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Not only the mortgage loan documents, but the homeowner's insurance documents. And you, mark my words, more charges will be brought out against her. James Comey, he did lie to Congress. He did leak information from the FBI to the media. Now, he just so happens to also been a part of the conspiracy against Trump. So is it retribution? Yes. But he actually committed a crime, allegedly. So this double talk that they do, it trips me out. It's just like the whole Medicare thing. Oh, 14 million people are going to get kicked off Medicare. Yeah, that's the truth. But majority of those millions are illegal immigrants. So yeah, the truth is millions will lose their Medicare, their free Medicaid. I mean, yes, they will. But also they're illegal immigrants or able-bodied people who shouldn't be on there. So 2 things can be right at the same time, but Democrats don't seem to realize that. But hey, I just wanted to bring you this story. And if you stuck in there with me and watched it, I really do appreciate you from the top and bottom of my heart. I want to thank you. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.